Hello folks, I'm Alex. This is Alex Unabridged. Welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, I thought I'd do a bit of a tag today. I know it's not Tuesday, but I've been tagged in a few tags over the last weeks, months. So I thought I'd do one of them to get myself back into booktube filming. I've been a bit quiet recently, so I thought this is a good way to just jump on and have a little chat. So this is the 10 Untouched Books tag. The original tag was created by Rainier Books, and I've been tagged by a few people in this, I think. There is only one prompt, which is to present 10 books from your shelves that have been there for at least a year. So this one is about creating awareness to read from our shelves, enhance sustainability, and maybe even save some pennies. This one feels like an appropriate one for me to do right now because I've not been reading that much lately for a number of reasons. So it's good to look at some of the books that I've got on my shelves and try and inspire myself to try some of those that have been waiting patiently to be read for quite a long time. And I'll be doing this very slightly differently in that I'm going to include one ebook and one audiobook on the list of 10 too. Most of my library is actually digital. I have many more untouched books in digital format, largely audiobooks, but definitely also in my ebook libraries. Then I do have on my shelves, my actual physical collection is quite small. So I just want to look at a couple of the books that I've got in those digital collections that I've had the longest in those formats. So let's dive straight into this 10 then, 10 unread books. So the first one is one that I've had on the shelves probably for the best part of 10 years. And that's this one, American Pastoral by Philip Roth. I'd got into Roth a little bit years and years ago, more than 10 years ago. I read The Breast, a novella by Roth, which was a really weird, uncomfortable, but great read. And so after that, I went and read a couple of other short bits, and then I also read The Plot Against America, which is a great piece of like alternative history. And yeah, I really like Roth's voice, Roth's style. And then I had a little bit of a sort of a gap from reading any, and a friend gave me this one. And it's just sat on the shelf, and I'm not sure why. I think it may be just I haven't been in the mood. It's not necessarily the sort of book I go for these days. We're talking 10 years that it's been there. I used to read a lot of quite different stuff before I kind of found my niche, if you like, with horror and science fiction and stuff. I think that's something looking at the shelves actually that like I kind of realise is I do need to just allow time every now and again to pick up something completely different from what I'd ordinarily read these days. So that's your first one, bit of Philip Roth. Next up then is another one that I've had on the shelves probably for a similar amount of time, if not longer. And that's this one, The Map by T.S. Lerner. This is a kind of, well, it's on the back it sort of says a sophisticated, relentlessly exciting thriller in the tradition of Dan Brown, Robert Harris and Kate Moss. So it's mazes, riddles, witchcraft, centuries-old secrets, ancient mysteries, all that kind of stuff. Labyrinths, maps, weird maps, clues needing deciphering, all that kind of stuff. This one was a very cheap bargain one in a cheap bargain bookshop. I remember that much. And then I think once I got it home and I put it on the shelf, I think I'd come across some reviews for it, and the reviews were, let's just say, not favourable. And I think that's why it's just sat there, because I've kind of gone, oh, do I want to start that if it's actually going to be a bit rubbish? But I'll never know if I don't try. So I think this is one where I've been put off by reading what other people think of it rather than actually just diving in and seeing what I think myself. And it's probably one where I just need to give it a go. And if I don't like it in the first 50 pages, then I can DNF it and I can pass it on to a charity shop or library or what have you. But you never know, I might enjoy it. It might be a really just good, silly, but entertaining read. I won't know if I don't try. So yeah, that's the second one. Okay, next one, bit of non-fiction. I have a very, very small non-fiction collection these days. Mostly I read non-fiction, or I listen to non-fiction. I find that it goes in a lot easier, unless it's something that needs a lot of diagrams and images and all that kind of stuff with it. But this one my sister bought for me 3 or 4 Christmases ago, I think. And this one is Chernobyl, History of a Tragedy. I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's name, but there you go. And she bought me this because I'd been talking about how much my wife and I had enjoyed the dramatized TV series that was on. I think it was on like Sky TV over here. So whether it went to America or not, I'm not sure. But it was very well done. It was extremely well done, and I think it was based largely on this book. And yeah, so my sister bought me this, and I really do want to read it because it's something. It's a historical event that fascinates and terrifies me. But I know that this is going to be a tough read. So yeah, it's one that's sat on the shelves because I haven't been quite ready to tackle it yet. And I think it's probably one that will probably sit on the shelves for a while longer. But it's not one that I would pass on necessarily to anybody else having not read it. It's one that I want on the shelves for when the day comes that I'm actually ready to dive into it. But that's definitely one which I have to be in the right frame of mind for. Okay, next one then is one that my mum passed on to me probably 10 to 15 years ago. And that's An Instance of the Finger Post by Ian Pears. This one is, I mean, the front cover kind of says lust, betrayal, secrets and murder in kind of an embossed, shiny font. And it's set in Oxford in the 1660s. And it's kind of sort of mystery based, historical mystery based type thing. And I think I bought this for my mum after we both really got into Umberto Eco, who I've read most things by, and we were kind of starting looking around for other authors that might give us the same sort of kick that Eco's work did. And Ian Pears was one that came up when I searched on the internet all the way back when, and bought this for my mum, and she really liked it, and she's read several more Ian Pears books since, and so she passed this on to me for me to give it a go, and I've never read it, and I don't really know why. I think maybe because I'm a little wary of the fact that if it is like Eco's work, it's a bit of a mission to get through. Eco's stuff is very dense, very the language is quite difficult at times. Some of the concepts in it, there's a lot of sort of archaic and arcane stuff in his work. And I think if like this is again, it's a historical thing, 1660s. If the language is difficult or complex, it's just going to take me a long time to read it, and I don't always have the time to devote to something like that these days. But again, it's sat on the shelf for that long because I've not wanted to get rid of it with the whole kind of I will read that someday. So I think maybe again I ought to just put some time aside 1 month and say, if this is just the only thing you get through this month, that's fine, but you're gonna flipping read it. Okay, next up, one that I've had since probably just after I joined BookTube, I should think. First year of BookTube, so I joined BookTube in 2023, so it's only a couple of years. And that one's The Doll Who Ate His Mother by Ramsey Campbell. And I heard Ollie from Criminolly talking about this on his channel and kind of went, that sounds fantastic. And bought it, and then it sat there. And it's not long, and I know I'll probably really enjoy it. But it keeps getting, for some reason, it keeps getting pushed. I keep putting it on the TBR, and then I never get to it. So I'm going to make a commitment that in the next, by the end of the year, I'm going to read this. In fact, I might read this in October because Halloween's coming up, and I think this would be a good one for spooky season. So I'm making a commitment that this one is absolutely getting read by the end of 2025. Another one that I think I will try and get to by the end of 2025, and even by the end of this month, and that is Pine by Francine Toon. This one was a charity shop buy. I like the front cover. I like the sound of the blurb. This is set in the Scottish Highlands, and it just sounds quite spooky, quite creepy, quite unsettling. A simmering gothic thriller, one of the papers said. And again, this should be right up my street, but I just haven't got to it yet, so it's sat on the shelf. I am going up to the Highlands for my holiday in 2 weeks' time. In fact, this time in 2 weeks, I will be up there. And I think this is potentially the perfect book to take with me. So I'm going to take this, and hopefully, as long as I'm not too knackered after many walks in the hills, I will get to this, because this keeps winking at me whenever I look at it on the shelf, and I keep putting it off. So time to get to it. Okay, next up, some science fiction with Philip K. Dick's Lies, Inc. I have several Philip K. Dick books in my collection, some short stories, kind of a compendium of several books, and this one. And I've read a fair bit of his stuff over the years, but this is one, this was like a secondhand bookshop buy, and at least 10 years ago. I think it was the first year we had the dog, so it'll be 10 years ago. But yeah, it's always been passed over for other Philip K. Dick when I've looked at reading some of his stuff. I think it's because I don't really know so much about it. I've kind of gravitated towards the ones that are better known of his. So I think this will probably stay on the shelf for a while longer, as I continue to make my way through some of the others that I've kind of slightly more, I've got slightly more name recognition, or I know a bit more about them. But I will get to it eventually. It just might not be for a while yet. Okay, number 8 is a bit of non-fiction again. So this one's The Wager by David Gran. This one is quite a young one in my collection. I think I only bought this like April last year. So it's only just over a year that it's been on my shelves. And I bought this with some birthday money, I think, because I'd read The Terror that year, and I was kind of on a bit of a ships binge. And yeah, I those binges often kind of like, or those fads, if you like, often they are fads for me. You know, I'm still interested in it, but I'll go through kind of like a bit of an obsessional phase with things, and buy stuff and read stuff, you know, that are in it as one particular theme, and then I'll move on to something else. And I didn't get to this before, you know, something new and shiny took my eye. But it's definitely one that I hear such good reports about that I will get to it for sure. I might lend it to my mum first because she really wants to read it. So I might lend it to her, and then she can tell me how good it is, and then I'll be inspired to read it again. So yeah, that one again, it's on the shelf. It'll be there for when I'm in the mood for it, and when the ship obsession comes round again, which it will do because it has done in the past. It's something that I'm generally interested in. It's just I get a bit kind of focused on stuff and read loads of things of the same sort of theme in one big binge, and then go off on something else again. So I'll wait for it to come around again. Okay, then to the couple of digital books. So first one's an ebook, and this is, I think, one of the first ebooks that I bought when I'd started kind of buying a few more ebooks once I was on BookTube, and that's Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So this is a cozy fantasy about how to embrace life and the afterlife with found family, and I bought this in May 2023. I really don't know why I have not picked this one up, especially since I really enjoyed like some other kind of cozy fantasy stuff, like Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, those books, and I've read some other sort of cozier fantasy things, which I really like, and just cozy stuff in general. And I hear really good reports about a lot of TJ Klune stuff. And yeah, I really ought to get to that. And to be honest, I'd forgotten that I'd got it. And that's the problem with ebooks, I think, is because they're not on a shelf, because I have to like actively go through and actually search through my library on my Kindle or my iPad or whatever. I don't just pass a shelf and go, oh, I've forgotten I got that, and like, you know, pull it off and then read it. So yes, it is kind of sat in my collection unnoticed, poor thing. So that's gone quite high on the priority list for when I want a cozy read in the next few months, especially as winter closes in. I think that'll be a nice one to dip into. So that's another one I will commit to reading by the end of the year. Okay, and the final one then, which is the audiobook, is The Labyrinth of the Spirits by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And this was bought in 2021. This is actually the only audiobook from both 2020 and 2021 which I have in my library that's unread. I started listening to audiobooks in 2020 when the pandemic hit and we all got locked down, and I needed new things to occupy my time and give me a distraction from everything else that was going on. And that's when I really kind of would say I became an avid reader or avid lover of books. And yeah, in that first 2 years of getting books from Audible, this is the only one I've got in my library that I haven't touched yet. And I know why that is. It's the fourth in the series, starting with Shadow of the Wind. And I've read Shadow of the Wind several times before, and I can remember that one quite well, because it's one of my favourites. I love that book. But the other two, books 2 and 3, I've only ever read once, and it was a long time ago, and I just don't remember them that well. And I know really that to get the most out of this book, I need to go back and reread the first 3. And so that's the reason why I've not touched this one yet, because I need to actually find the time and want to do that, devote the time to a 3-book reread before I can move on to the final one. But every time I go in my Audible library, it winks at me because I do love the first one particularly. I love the second and third as well, but the first one was just, yeah, spot on for me. So again, that's something I need to figure out, is just giving myself time to do a bit of a reread on those. I might even, because I own the first one in paperback form, and then the other 2 I don't own. So I might actually grab those on audiobook, and then it's a bit easier for me to kind of fit them in. I can fit them in around lots of different things if I've got them on audio. It's a lot. It feels like a smaller commitment to get through like a paperback and 2 audiobooks before that one than it does 3, printed editions or what have you. So I will get to that, but yeah, that's why that's still sat there after 4 years. So there we go. There's my 10 untouched books. So yeah, I do need to find some time to dip into some stuff that I wouldn't ordinarily read these days, and give things a go that I've sat there because I'm not really sure I like them. Well, I'll never know unless I try. So I do need to find those. And then there are others, as I say, like Chernobyl, which can just sit on the shelves until I'm ready. I'll know when I'm ready because I'll see it and I go, yes, I want to read that. But I've got to be in the right frame of mind. But yeah, that was a really interesting exercise, actually, just looking through the shelves and seeing what I'd got, and thinking back how long I've had things and kind of going, oh god, yeah, probably ought to do a little bit of a stock take on these shelves and make sure that I've still got everything on the shelves, that things that I actually want to read and think I am going to read, and if not, they can be donated so somebody will read them, because I hate the thought of having books sat here not being read when they could be giving joy to somebody else. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do over the next month or so, is just have a look at sorting out a little bit of an unhaul on things that I've either started and kind of gone, not for me, so things that I know that I'm probably not going to go back to. And if there's just anything else lurking where I think, the chances of you reading this ever are probably that low that you might as well pass it along to somebody who will read it. So there we go. That'll do from me today. Anyway, that's a bit of a rambly video. But thank you very much for watching, folks. As always, do drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I've talked about today, that I've mentioned today. Let me know if there's anything, that you think you really need to read that. That's fantastic. So I will be back in the next few weeks with probably a little wrap up for Garb August, and probably a little update on how Trash Tales sales are going, that kind of thing, and also what comes next for me publishing wise after Trash Tales, because there's a plan in the works. So I'll have information on that coming quite soon, and I'll probably do a little holiday vlog when I go away to Scotland, things like that. So there will be a few more bits from me coming up. I am going to make an effort to try and get back into to getting some more videos out for you. I'm missing it now. I needed a little bit of a break, but yeah, I want to get back into it properly now. So look out for a few more videos from me coming soon. But from me, for now, that's ta-ra.